All right, family. We live with the general. Y'all already know what time it is, man. It's about to heat up. We about to heat up. That's right. We got that five today. We talking about how the African Olmecs were educated in ancient Egypt. I know y'all, all you Aboriginal niggas. You know you're in the house. I know you're somewhere hiding, and you've been waiting on this all your life, and you're ready to come on in here and try to debate with the general, but you can't debate with these artifacts. No, sir, you can't debate with these artifacts, and we got them for you. Come on in, come to the light, come to the light. Yeah, come on to the light, family. Come on and rock with the general. We about to get down, family. Uh-oh, we got them in here too. They coming. They coming. And we're gonna get started. We ain't gonna even hesitate. We want this to pop off right now. And so, all right, we're in the house. Yeah, we see family. We're in the house. And so when we get to talking about the Olmecs, man, a lot of people didn't even know who the Olmecs was. It was the Grand Master Dr. Ivan Van Sertima that enlightened the world on the Olmec. Nigga wasn't even talking about it. You know what I'm saying? If it wasn't for Ivan Van, they wouldn't be talking about it at all. He was the premier. He was the grand opener of the way. Showed us the way. How to do this. And I've been studying it for over 25, 30 years. You know what I'm saying? And learning some things, some very intricate things. Over the years that prove it beyond a reason. There is no doubt that they came from the Nile Valley. And we're going to talk about these things. Now, first and foremost, a lot of people dispute, you got certain people dispute whether they was even Africans. And I don't know how they going to do that. You ain't going to convince nobody. If they didn't know if they didn't even know who the Olmecs was and they asked somebody you'll never get them to say that they're not African. Okay, you're not gonna get them to do that. So you can quit that. The eye tells the truth, and sometimes that's all the proof. Now a lot of people say you can't look at the thing. Yes, you can, especially when they all look the same. Now, individual maybe not, but when they all look the same, you know that's the dominant phenotype the people. That's the dominant, and when you see the helmets of the Olmecs, you could tell that these is military helmets, or most, it's for physicality, to guard the head, and so as you see the brother over there who's a rugby player, you can see the ruggedness, to guard the head. This is the same function of the Olmec helmet. And so when you see here, a lot of people don't, they don't talk about the Olmecs with the helmet off. Now that's a matter of fact, I got old African woman, but that's the other sister right here. That look, you can see all up in the cheek area, and her lips and her nose, and you already know that's the African right there. The afro. When you don't get that, that's that 1970 no line up. You know what I'm saying? When you done went 2 years without a line up, and that damn peak come on down there. You know what I'm saying? And when that man, when you did get a line up, motherfucker had to get the razor out to clean it up in there. You know what I'm saying? It had grew there so long. You had to get that razor cut to get it up out of there. But that's most definitely we make the full comparisons. We make the full comparisons that and they never talk about. And you know what they call this? El Negro. Now I could have got, you can see right here the brother, and you can see that peak up in the afro, but you can see right there where it say El Negro. We didn't put that there. You know who put that there? The Mexicans. The Mexicans said that. They the one put that there. They try to, and it was at Tres Zapotes, and that's right there. And we got a front row and center view of Tres Zapotes, and see we got something for you. But you see, this was right in front of the one of the pyramids. Matter of fact, I believe it was the pyramid in Mexico City. It was very similar to Teotihuacan, which was the larger pyramids, right outside of Mexico City. And you see right here, another Olmec, and you can see they had these, you had the afro. There's no doubt about it. I don't know what the fuck people's is talking about. This is, this is without dispute. When you and there's another one. When you get to showing and you can continue, it'll clear up. It's so big in pixels. There it is, another one. You see another one. You can see the afro. They never show these. I mean, they're everywhere. It ain't like it's just one. They all over the place. So this is showing you the dominant phenotype. Now, this is in Chicago. So if you want to go see, do you see the fact that they got the pick right there with the black power fist on it? Yeah, I say, wow, man. I mean, you talking about a continuation of a legacy. You know what I'm saying? I got the Afro pick right now with the fist on. Hold up. Let me show y'all, man. Let me show y'all right here. Show y'all how we do this. Hold on. Let me see. Y'all see the Afro pick? You see that right there? The legacy continues. Yeah, the legacy continues. We still doing it. And so that right there is in Chicago. I don't know. I forget what museum that is. Next time I have it in there. But you can go there and see it. As a matter of fact, I'll look it up. I'll look it up tomorrow, and make sure that I touch the actual museum where that come from. And matter of fact, let me come on down here. We touched on yesterday some of the pyramids. Now, this right here is another aspect, of the Great Pyramid Khufu, the Pyramid of Teotihuacan. Now, here you got that ceremonial, in Egypt it's called the causeway. In the church it's called the nave. Now it's a ceremonial road here in Teotihuacan that leads down to the pyramid. And so, because this is a grand monument. You can't just walk right up on it. You know what I'm saying? It's the step by step process of elevation, where you start in the beginning and you move towards the pyramid. It's a process. It's a process of elevation. You can't just walk up on it. You have to see the glory of it. And as you move closer and closer, you moving to the glory of the monument, the manifestation of the all powerful, energy that's coming from this pyramid. And so it's the same thing as when you go in the church. When you come in the door, you got the nave. You can't just walk up on the holy of holies. It's a process of getting down there. And so it's the same as you see in Egypt. It's the same, really same road, but it's closed in. It's called the causeway, but it's a road. It leads from that funerary temple on down to the pyramid. So once the body is prepared and the funerary in the funerary temple, then it's carried down to the mortuary temple, and it's some more rituals that'll take place there. And then finally, after 77 days, it'll be laid in inside of the pyramid. So it's a process. It's a process of elevation. Uh Now when you get to Teotihuacan, now when you first got there, do you see that pyramid was covered? That's crazy. No, it was covered. Nah, that's how you know that them Indians didn't, what they, you call the pale Indian. That's how you know they wasn't original to the land. Because how did they allow all them damn pyramids to let the damn grass grow over them they wasn't here when that shit was here, when it was originally in pristine form. They was never here. Because if they was here, they would have never forgotten where it was. I mean, majority of all the pyramids that you see in the Americas today, all of them was under grass. They had been forgotten. Now imagine that. Y'all been in the land forever, You been in the land forever. You original to the land, yet and still all the monuments, all of them are under grass and shit like that. You didn't know where them damn monuments was. You didn't even know where they was. And so that just let you know when them monuments was originally built, them people wasn't in the land. It's impossible for them to have been in the land. If those were their monuments, do you think they would have forgotten their monuments? I mean, imagine that. Imagine forgetting you've been here all this time, passing down this legacy from generation to generation, and somehow you could forget megalithic structures like that that your people supposedly built. That's the biggest damn lie I ever heard in my damn life. If you would believe some shit like that, you would believe anything. Them people that they never knew it was there. And that, and when they got there, some of them admit it was already there. They admit it was already there. And so they'll come up with any kind of lie that they can to take credit, for it. Now, when you look at Teotihuacan, and you look at right here, this is at what is it, Cahokia, the mound of Cahokia. You can kind of see some of the resemblance, in Teotihuacan, but it's a mound, but it's really technically so serving the same purpose. They just, they hadn't reached that level. It's just what it is. Ain't no making it up and trying to, you know, uh, they hadn't reached that level. Okay. And then when you look at Teotihuacan compared to the Great Pyramid of Giza, they hadn't reached the level of the Great Pyramid. As a matter of fact, I had it in there side by side to show people, how much larger the Great Pyramid is. I don't have that one in right. Wait a minute. Is that it? Hold up. Let me see if I got it over here. Let me see if I got it over here. It's twice the size. But do y'all wait a minute? Do y'all know? Wait a minute. Do y'all know that the base of this damn pyramid right here of Teotihuacan and the base of the pyramid of Khufu is damn near exactly the same? I mean, this is crazy. Ivan Van Sertima said it a long time ago, and I looked it up. Now, some people say it's off a few, but not by much. It's not by even when they say it's not exactly alike, it was off a few feet. I think it was off a few feet, but really and technically the base, and that's all the way around. You know what I'm saying? All four sides, the measurement all the way around, and the measurement all the way around is almost exactly the same. What kind of goddamn coincidence would that be? You got three pyramids all aligned damn near in the same position, aligned to the same cosmological stars, the three stars of Orion's belt. And the base of the biggest pyramid is the same. That ain't no damn coincidence. You got to quit letting these people, you know, uh, talk you out of your global greatness, man, and being a global empire on this planet. This is you talking about all these civilizations were connected. Yes, they are beautiful in their own distinct ways, but they come from a mother culture, and it's manifesting all over the world. Now, the crazy thing about it, when you look at this, now when you look at this one and that mound back there, that's actually the oldest would have been the oldest pyramid in the Americas. That is the pyramid of Levanta. Now, it originally had some stone around it. It originally had some stone around it, but I don't know who removed the stone. That just show you, yeah, why would the hell you remove the stone? That's just ridiculous that they would do that. That was just some hating ass shit to do that just to take it down and go use it on something else. But when you look at the front, you can see that the complex, in front of all of them pyramids, they'll have a ceremonial, courtyard that would be in front where they would perform whatever rituals, festivals, celebrations, whatever it is. Now that same ceremonial, that same ceremonial courtyard is right here in front of the Great Pyramid. But see, in Egypt, it was secret. It was the secret society. Now and plus this was the Pharaoh, and I don't think you would be able to get in there. I don't think some of that you wouldn't be able to get into. And so it was closed in. It was for the brotherhood, but there were certain pyramids where they had an opening, like Saqqara, where you could go in front of the pyramid and they would have festivals, and they probably got them here. It's just not inside uh uh that particular courtyard. You can see it right up front. It's closed in. But if it was open, it would be just like here in Levanta. And I showed y'all right here. Now this is also in the Americas, and you can see this is a Olmec. Now this is one, I forget the name of this. I'll put it in there, but it's one of the more obscure Olmec locations. And you can see the ceremonial courtyard in front, and you can go to Saqqara, and it's the same thing. The ceremonial courtyard, and that's where now this is open, so that means it would be celebrations and things of that nature, and the public could come there. You could go in that courtyard. It's just certain areas you couldn't go, but this was an open courtyard, so you could come in. It was an open courtyard, you could come in. Now what's crazy, when you go all over the world, you can see that this is the same temple. When this is in India, and you can see the pyramid, right? This is the Holy of Holies. They call that the venom. Inside of there is the Holy of Holies. Now, when you come in here, this is a hyper style hall. This is a hyperstar hall. You can go in there's columns in there that lead down to the Holy of Holies. When you come in here, you'll see the columns up in the front of this, in the front of the Khufu's temple. This is actually a temple and a pyramid. So you see the temple up here, but when you come in, it's no different than when you come in right here. You see what I'm saying? You come in, then you got the colonnades in here and lead down to the pyramid. And here, the Pharaoh is symbolic, where he was buried is symbolic of the Holy of Holies. When you come over here and you come into the Indian temple, you get down in here, they have what they call the lingam, or they might have a statue the deity in there. You feel what I'm saying? So it's actually the same. It's actually the same geometrical design. And you want me to prove it? Go to Timbuktu. You can see it's the same temple. When you you see this would be the Venema. You see it? You can even see the part that lead up to the Venema. You see it? That's right there. And you can see the courtyard. This is the courtyard over here. And you come back and you see it's the same setup. Remember who showed y'all that? You feel what I'm saying? Nobody else in the world ever showed nobody that. I showed y'all that, showing y'all the sacred geometry of the temples, and it's the same here. You see the pyramid, but this is the more advanced, and you see the colonnades in here. I wish I could show you. I got it on my other lecture, but I ain't gonna pop that one open right now. You know what I'm saying? But when you go in there, you'll see the colonnades in here that lead up to the Venema, which is the pyramid. And it's crazy because you can see the part right next to the Venema, and that's the same part right here. That's the same temple. You know what I'm saying? And when you come over here, you know what I'm saying? It's really the same design on all of these pyramids. It's really the same design. Uh, and you can see how they took it all over the world, being aligned with Orion. Orion's belt, the three stars of Orion's belt. You see it in China. You see it in China. You see it in China. You see it in Egypt. You see it in Mexico. Now, the other pyramid is kind of off. It's kind of off. It's over here. That's the pyramid of Quetzalcoatl. It's a small pyramid. It ain't really that big. It ain't nothing compared to them two down there. They didn't cut that one off. I don't know why I wouldn't even use that picture, because they didn't cut the pyramid off down here, but that's that little pyramid right there. That's the pyramid of Quetzalcoatl. And so, the three star, and then I can also show you where Saqqara was also built the same way. Where is that at? Do I got it in there? It's on something else. It should have been right there. Should have been right there. But anyway, I ain't gonna chase it down right now. Uh Showing the sarcophages. That's the sarcophagus of Pakal, and he was buried. That's the L shape and got the hieroglyphs, and you can see the same, Egypt is the masters of the sarcophagus. They took that all over the world, man. It's a globe, but they don't want to, it's too hard for them to believe that the world was already a global network. So they trying to deny that global network. That the Africans hadn't sailed out because they were stuck up in the goddamn cave somewhere. And even in the 1600s and 1700s, it was the Moors that told them that they could sail. That they wouldn't sell off the planet. They was talking about they would sell off the planet. They would sell off the side of the goddamn planet. And so it was the Moors that had to show them that, it was something beyond the horizon. So they didn't know nothing about going beyond the shores of Europe. They didn't know nothing about that. And so they had to deny everybody else was stuck in the same predicament that they were stuck in, but which is not true. And so you see that the Etruscans had stone sarcophages. You see, who else had this? The Olmec had stone sarcophages. The Phoenicians had stone sarcophages. Uh, uh, of course we already know the Nubians, but the majority of them, if they learned it from the Egyptians. And when you look at the Phoenicians and the Etruscans, you can see where they got it from. They have a lot of them anthropomorphic sarcophagus with human on the top. You know what I'm saying? That's how the Etruscans did it. And they did a lot of picture work on showing the life after death and, just like the Egyptians. And so yeah, they wasn't like the Greeks or the Romans. The Greeks and the Romans wasn't doing nothing like that. Here you go, right here. So you see right there, you see the Great Pyramid. Now that's crazy. Hold on, let me put this cat in here. You see that? The base of the pyramid of the sun is virtually identical in size to that of the Great Pyramid of Giza. You see, so when you look up there, I think it's the base perimeter, the Great Pyramid, 3023.16 feet. And then the pyramid of the sun is 2932.8 feet. It's damn near. I mean, you talking about 7 feet. You talking about a extra 7 feet. That ain't nothing for a pyramid, for something. So it's exactly the same damn size, you know. The base of it is the same size. Why ain't nobody talking about that? That is not no damn coincidence, you know? And we know that now. We ain't playing no games with these people. Niggas talking about the Egyptians wasn't over here. You a fool. All of this knowledge come from ancient Egypt. you know, all of it. Wait a minute, let me break this shit down. This is crazy too. And I'm gonna tap out and go and come back in. Now, what's crazy is that Corbel, what is it called? A Corbel vault. It's called a Corbel vault. And so it is a particular type of you got the Corbel arch too. And that's where they kind of stack the bricks, as you come up, I think you bring it in a little and keep bringing it in, and it'll form like an arch. And so this is inside the red pyramid, right? And this would have been uh the king's chamber where the sarcophagus would have laid. And it's crazy because the Pakal also, and where his sarcophagus is also a Corbel vault. How is this possible? How is you gonna have all these pyramids with a Corbel vault? I'm gonna show that. As a matter of fact, I thought I had it on here, but I may and I may not. But you can see you can see side by side. You see the one in you see the one in the Americas, and then you see the one in Egypt. I'll show over here. You can see the one in the Americas and then the one in Egypt. But this is it. This is it right here. Corbel. This is an arch. So you see as they come up, instead of having it like the regular arch, you just bring the bricks in, you know what I'm saying, a little, until you form the arch, and then you put the brick at the top, and then you got your Corbel arch. And then you probably come in on and stack some more bricks around it to seal it in. So, it ain't just gonna fall. They're gonna come in and put some more bricks in here, and you will have uh, uh, your Corbel arch. But this is a Corbel vault. This is a vault. And so, this would have been where the sarcophagus was. But then, both Pakal and the Red Pyramid in Egypt, and I ain't got it here. I don't know where that went. Where's all of that? Wait a minute, might be down here somewhere. Might be down here. Hold up. I got so much. It might be down, maybe not. I ain't gonna chase it though. I ain't gonna chase it. If I don't see it right away, because it's too much. There you go. There you go. There you go right here. Check this shit out, y'all. Remember where you saw it now. Don't it's here. Now this is the burial chamber. You see the Corbel. If you go in, you'll see this is it right here. This is the Corbel vault. This is a vault. And so the sarcophagus would have been laid in here, right? Now this is the one in Pakal's pyramid. He got a Corbel arch too. Okay, he got a Corbel vault in his damn pyramid, just the same, where the sarcophagus laid. And this is the one in Maydoom. This is one in Maydoom. They got one in the Red Pyramid too. So what likelihood would you have a sophisticated architectural design like that in pyramids with an L shape? And I'm just trying to break this shit down for you. All the damn it cannot be a coincidence that you're gonna have an L-shaped stairway in the damn pyramid. Basically where the Pakal is buried is the traditional place where the Egyptian sarcophagus was laid. I showed y'all that. And then you got a Corbel vault in these pyramids. And motherfuckers telling you that this shit ain't from Egypt. The gig is up, man. And see, I'm showing this. You know what I'm saying? This is things that I've added in my research, that I haven't heard no scholars, speak on. This is things I've been, hunting after for a very long time, seeing it myself and being inside these pyramids. But these are just facts that you cannot erase and lie and say, oh, this is ain't no goddamn coincidence. These is highly sophisticated architectural, feats. You ain't just gonna up and do this shit without going to school. Somebody had to go to some school. Where else could you go to school and learn how to do something like that? And why would you know why to do something like that? Who would know to, create a Corbell vault right over here in the Americas like that? And they already, and especially in the same structure, pyramid, a stone sarcophagus with hieroglyphs, L-shaped stairway inside of these damn pyramids, man. These people's been lying too goddamn long. They don't bring that shit to me because I already know. I've been convinced. You know what I'm saying? I've been convinced of this. But anyway, family, I'm gonna click out and black power to all the family out there. Yeah, they're always near rivers. You right. You already know. We're gonna tap out of this. We're gonna tap out of this now. And I'm gonna come right back. So y'all come in and tap back in and we're gonna continue on. I see y'all. Get over to Patreon. Click that link at the top of the chat, y'all. Cause I got some live streams over there. I've been doing the live streams and I got some fire. I got some fire over there, and I want you to go over there and get it. I'll see y'all black here in a minute. Black pop.